Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is my first video from the bunker since I got back from Reno, Nevada. Now I want to thank everyone that joined in on the live streams while I was there. They were great. If you haven't chimed in on them, go ahead and check them out because they were a lot of fun. One of them was from my channel here, and the other one was from the Nutrient Survival channel. And I also put out a video earlier today that was the last video I posted from Reno, Nevada, and it's kind of like all over the place. We talk about CBDCs, we talk about nutrient survival, we talk about turkeys for veterans and service members, etc., etc., etc. A lot of fun on that video as well. And I also talk about on that video, ladies and gentlemen, the awesome sale that Nutrient Survival is having only through tomorrow. Only through Friday, the 8th of September. So if you want to know the details on that sale, go check that video out. I'm not going to say it all over again on this video, but I will leave the link and a code so you can get 20% off anything on the site. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, listen. I usually don't get into these types of videos, but it's time to talk about this stuff. It's time to spread the word that we need to support companies that support freedom. For those of you that are listening that are here in the United States of America, let me fill you in on a little something. This country was found on freedom. Freedom of religion, freedom to have firearms to protect yourself and your family, and to protect your freedom. Freedom from the government being able to just storm into your home. Freedom from the government being able to just look through your personal things. Freedom from the government to put you in jail without due cause. All of those freedoms, ladies and gentlemen. Freedom of religion. Freedom of association with whoever you want. Freedom of the press, where you can say whatever the heck you want and report anything that you want on anyone. And yes, the freedom to hurt someone's feelings. So we have to talk about this, or at least I have to start talking about this because it's going too far. And the funny thing about this article that I'm going to share with you is that I was considering buying one of these safes. Well, not anymore. Because it seems that Liberty Safe is not all about liberty. Betrayed customer base. Backlash erupts after gun safe company gives FBI customers passcodes. So a safe company giving the passcode, the combination to a safe that they sold to a private individual, giving that to law enforcement. Maybe 10 or 20 years ago, that would have been justifiable, right? But now, in these days that we live in, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, it's no longer justifiable to do that. And even in the past, according to the law, you could have said that, no, it's not justifiable even back then, according to the law, ladies and gentlemen, because a private company doesn't have to give any information to a institution, to a government institution, excuse me, unless that government institution has a court order. Not a warrant per se against the individual whose safe they want to search, but a court order telling the safe company, you have to give me this code. Liberty Safe, one of the leading gun safe manufacturers in the country, provided FBI agents with the combination of a safe belonging to an individual who attended a protest, ladies and gentlemen. Now, isn't that a violation on our First Amendment right? Why is that? That is a violation. All right, that is a violation, ladies and gentlemen, on your First Amendment right, on my First Amendment right. Why is that? Because when we read an article like this and see what's happening to someone else that went to a protest, then what do? We self-censor ourselves because we're like, man, I don't want that to happen to me if I just go to a protest. And then what happens? We slowly but surely lose our First Amendment right by ourselves, doing it to ourselves without really realizing that we're doing it. So that is why these things are so important to talk about. This sparked instant backlash on social media among conservatives, and it should spark backlash amongst everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, the First Amendment is not just for conservatives. It's not just for liberals. It's not just for the right, the center, or the left. The First Amendment, along with every other amendment that we are provided, protection with the Bill of Rights, is for everyone, not just one group or another. And as I believe they should, and I will as well, I won't be buying one of those safes, are calling for a Bud Light style boycott of the not so safe company, they say. And here is a short narrative of what happened. Days ago, conservative comedians on YouTube, Keith and Kevin Hodge, I think they're the conservative twins or something like that, shared a lengthy post on what was known as Twitter, X, about a friend whom the feds raided over crimes related to January 6th. They said that the FBI could access his Liberty gun safe because agents called the manufacturer for the passcode. Incredible, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, why would the company keep the passcode after it's already sold that product? And I believe that that product included that passcode. And here is the tweet, or the X, I guess you can call it now, of the Hodge twins is what it is. And they are like comedians that are on the conservative side. But again, ladies and gentlemen, this should not have a conservative or liberal or right or left annotation to it. This is a freedom thing. This is a constitution thing. This is, do you want to do business with a company that is 100% against the freedoms that our Constitution protects us from? Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, sorry about that. I got interrupted with a phone call that I had to take, and I even forgot what I was saying. But anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at what they have to say here. Liberty Safe stated on Platform X, or on X Twitter, let's say. I hate calling it Platform X. Our company's standard procedures to share access codes with law enforcement when presented with a legitimate warrant for a property. The statement continued, after receiving the request, we received proof of the valid warrant, and only then did we provide them with the access codes. I have a lot of problems with this personally, but let's see what others had to say about it. And here is their statement. If you want to go take a look at it, it pretty much says exactly what I read. And here is one from Cat Turd, all right? Liberty Safe equals Bud Light. Personally, I will never be buying a Liberty Safe unless they come out and change and say, hey, we changed our policy. We will never provide anyone's code ever again unless we are provided with a court order saying you have to provide this code. Not just because they have a warrant against anyone. Because look at all of these warrants that have been coming about, ladies and gentlemen. Do you maybe think that the system is a little bit corrupt? Do you maybe think that the system right now is a little bit one-sided, leaning towards one instead of the other, instead of being blind? Do you think that the scales of justice are balanced right now, ladies and gentlemen? So companies like this, especially companies that provide protection, right? They ought to be looking at that too. They ought to be looking at what's going on. You know, that policy doesn't mean that it's good for all times. They ought to be looking at what's going on with their customer base especially, and also what's going on in the country, and seeing maybe we ought not apply this policy in this case. But anyways, I digress. That's just my personal opinion. And here, Ashley St. Clair says, and I don't know who these people are, to tell you the truth. They've got a check mark there, but I don't know who they are. Liberty, not so safe. And here, Jordan, I won't try to pronounce the last name, says, they finally shut replies off. This company is going under. And this is how we win. This is how we win, ladies and gentlemen. It's that easy. You know, it's that easy. Totally betrayed customer base. It's impossible to earn back the trust. Absolutely. They had a moral duty to protect customers, and they are in the business of protection, and instead placated feds through a secret back door. Ugly, ugly stuff. It's like if you buy a computer, or if, let's say you have someone build you a computer, and they go ahead and put a back door to that computer, meaning that someone can get into your data and get through your firewalls, you know, and your security, and they just take that and sell it to the highest bidder, right? Say, hey, here you go, give it to the highest bidder. That's exactly what this did right here. Let me see. Sean Davis says, and again, I don't know who these people are. And one more thing, absent a court order, there you go. That's what I was talking about. You weren't required to give them anything. You voluntarily gave out a combination over a warrant per your own release. That didn't apply to you or your property. Maybe start marketing your stuff as Bud Light storage. And I have to agree that, you know, unfortunately, these companies make decisions that's going to affect their employees. And there's probably a lot of really good employees that work there. Just like I'm sure there are a lot of good employees that work for Bud Light. And these companies, because of, you know what I'm talking about, trying to adhere to the policies of their overlords, because of doing that, they're losing the jobs of the employees that are actually good people, that are there for the right reasons. Let me see, Tim Poole, I don't care that Liberty Safe gave the code to the feds, he says. I care that they had the codes in the first place. Very good point. Liberty Safes are completely worthless. Are they not? What is a safe for, if not to keep your personal property safe? How can you keep your personal property safe if the safe company gives the cops the codes, for goodness sakes? And they finish it off here by saying, customers who own these safes and others should read the fine print of who can gain access to their safes. And I guess I have to agree with that as well. We live in interesting times, ladies and gentlemen, and I think that one of the best things that we can do now is try to protect our freedoms by as much as we can. I know that it's impossible in every case. Let me give you an example. Well, let me finish. As much as we can, support those that support liberty. And then let me give you an example of how it may be, not very easy for the average person, depending on where you live, to do that, right? One of the ways that I get things here in Alaska is Amazon, all right? That's just one of the dirty little truths about if you live in Alaska and you want to get something, a lot of those things that you're going to get, they're not available in brick and mortar stores. So you have to get it through Amazon. But try to work with those companies that you can work with, that you know are good companies and that you know love freedom. And I understand that if you have to buy a pair of boots, that you're going to have to buy one, and maybe the one that you buy will be made in China, because that's the only one that you can get that fits you, that will do the job. It may be the only one that you can afford, etc., etc. There's 1,001 reasons, right, ladies and gentlemen? But try to find that one reason and try to find that one supplier that will work with you, that is good to freedom, that is good to this country, right? And I understand if you walk around your house, you're gonna probably find 50% of the things that are consumer items are probably made in China, or probably made out of this country. And even if they're made in this country, maybe by some public companies, companies that have gone public, like on the stock exchange, that maybe are not very friendly to liberty, to freedom. I understand that. It's almost impossible to get away from that 100%. However, try to work with those companies that really care about this country. And in this case, I will never, ever spend one penny on one of these safes, ever. I'd rather just make my own out of cinder block or something, if that's what it comes down to. I know I'm starting to babble on. If you haven't seen today's first video, go check it out. And if you don't go check out that first video, remember that Nutrient Survival is having an awesome sale. It's not just 20% off. You get a whole bunch of stuff in addition to that. So I hope that you go check that out. If not, click the link on the pinned comment or the description of this video if you are in the market for freeze-dried foods from an American company that loves freedoms, that supports veterans and supports the American people. Having said that, have a great day, ladies and gentlemen. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper and happy to be back home, and I am out.